Hey, okay. Another loser point. Another loser point for Utah Hockey Club. I should look it up real quick. I just had a thought go through my head. Do we lead the league in loser points? We might. We might lead the league in loser points. Greetings. How are you? The Utah Hockey Club loses to the Toronto Maple Leafs for the second time this season. They lose in the shootout. No, it's not the second time they lost in the shootout, but lost the second time Maple Leafs 4-3 in the shootout. So, Utah falls tonight, but they do get that all-important loser point. The question is can you loser point your way to the playoffs? Probably not. Got to get some wins. Through there, but regardless, there we are. Quick introduction. My name is Keith Schertz. Run things here at Hive State Hockey. After the buzzer, here we are. We usually do a live stream after the games, and love seeing my guys Scotty and Car Wash hanging out again with us. Fellas, I congratulate you on your exceptional taste. As for the rest of you who are here and who will come and check us out or watch it on the rewatch, welcome. I hope you enjoy your time here. Let's talk a little puck. Let's talk a little hockey. So tonight, look, the Utah Hockey Club, I thought, played a great 4 minutes. And then the rest of the game, the first period was abysmal, right? That was really not great, right? But as it relates to the rest of the game, the second period they got their bearings beneath them. Then they had 3 goals in 4 minutes there in the second period. It all started when Michael Kesselring got into that scrap. There's a real question about that third goal. I mean, I guess the third goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs, this giant review that went on for minutes and minutes. It sure looked like it got deflected by a high stick above the crossbar, but the folks in New York took a look at the footage and made a ruling. So it is what it is. 4-3, the final result tonight from the shootout. And the shootout was real good. I thought Clayton Keller, that was great by Keller to find a way to get the goal in that big spot. Unfortunately, Mitch Marner was on the other side and could put it away. So Matthews and Marners get the shootout goals. Clayton Keller gets a really clutch shootout goal, but it doesn't end up helping the Utah Hockey Club fight their way forward. Let's talk about the all-important playoff race just for 1 second. I got taken a look at it quickly. Over the last 5 seasons, the least amount of points a team has scored in a season on the standings and found their way into playoffs is 91 points, okay? 91 points. As it relates to Utah Hockey Club now, they have 18 games left and are sitting at 67 points. And so they need to get 24 points over the next 18 games. When they play Anaheim at home, that's got to be a 2-pointer. At Seattle, they got to get 2 points out of that, because there's tougher ones. At Vancouver, it's a huge swing game, right? At Edmonton, 2 more points. They got to find maybe from that game, because Edmonton, sometimes they take nights off because they're just waiting for the postseason. Buffalo at home, they should get that one. Tampa will be tough at home. Detroit, they're in the middle of a playoff hunt. That'll be tough. At Tampa is probably a loss. At Florida is probably a loss. At Chicago, they got to get a win there. So anyway, this is kind of what the next 10 games look like. They got to go on a run. Now, on the season, what is the longest win streak Utah Hockey Club has been able to put together this season? And from just off the dome, off of what I'm thinking about, it seems to me that they were able to get 4 wins in a row. But over these last 18 games, right, they've got to find a way to get 24 points. Easiest way to get there is to win 12 of the last 18 games. They haven't really had a stretch like that at any time this season where they've been that hot. It would be closer to kind of where they are right now in terms of getting that many points. But just to get to 91 points, they've got to get 12 wins, or they've got to find their way to, some loser points in there. But they can't get too many more loser points along the way, because, again, the magic number for them, if they're going to see the postseason, is they have to, at minimum, get to 91. And even then, that may be not enough points to get in. But that race for that second wild card spot is going to be really close. I think it will finish around 91, maybe 93 points, somewhere like that. But for now, the goal for Utah is they just really have to stack together wins. And so when they had an opportunity tonight, they had that huge run during overtime. I loved seeing all the work that was being done in overtime and the amount of possession and the good effort that was put in. I really thought Logan Cooley had a couple moments in overtime that looked great. He had kind of a rough night, I thought. I thought that I love seeing him be as creative as he's trying to be, and the way that he's thinking through the game. It's really electric to see him think through the game the way he's thinking through it. But one of the things that I think is really fun about seeing Logan Cooley doing what he's doing out there is that he is continuing to be super creative. He just hasn't found synergy yet with his line mates and hasn't found a way to really get that clicking where people are feeling and seeing his creativity and anticipating that creativity. So it's an interesting time for Logan Cooley. He's been on a little bit of a dry spell in terms of getting it in the back of the net, it feels like. But tonight, in particular, I didn't think he was particularly strong. That being said, I thought that the comeback and the fight from the team was really good. I think that the giveaways early on, obviously this is Toronto, and they've got all the skill, and if you continue to get them, with the man advantage, you're going to pay for it. They go to the box 5 times today, and they give up 2 goals. Utah Hockey Club had a chance with a 5-on-3 with 45 seconds and didn't find a way to get it into the back of the net. It's crushing, really crushing to not capitalize in circumstances when you are going to have chances to try to score. With that 5-on-3 in particular, they just didn't get many good, clean shots in. And again, I kind of like, this is just, armchair quarterbacking here, which is what we're doing, but I really like to see on the 5-on-3 trying to screen the goalie and use a player to be in the bumper spot, but really from that bumper spot, really putting their back right in front of the goalie and giving you an opportunity to try to, block as much of his vision as you can. You work the left to right. You kind of move at the top of the crease, back left to right in the way that you know that the goalie's going to. And I love that opportunity for them. But on the 5-on-3, they didn't have to do that. I see the chat that just came in there, Scott. It's better to get regulation wins, especially against conference teams near them in the standings. Indeed. So yeah, no, the really huge one is coming up in 3 games at Vancouver. That is going to be a massive, massive game. The Anaheim one is going to be big too. Anaheim still thinks they're in the hunt. I think they're too far back. That would be a lot to ask. They need too many other teams to melt down. I'm already really concerned about Utah trying to get in. They need St. Louis and Vancouver and Calgary to all melt down in order for them to find their way in. And Utah don't get that many chances. Zachary, yes, the Leafs do win. Congratulations on the win tonight for the Leafs. Take care of my guy Scott Lawton. I like him. I also think that the Leafs, it'll be fun to see if they can ever break their postseason woes. But for now, they get the win tonight. So yes, happy for you in that circumstance. At the same time, boy, that was a rough second period, huh? Also, like, I mean, the Tekken fight was kind of cool, I guess. I don't know what that was about. That was kind of weird. The jump punch, punching down like he's Johnny Cage or something. Yeah, so, I thought Kesselring did a good job getting in that fight, going toe-to-toe in that circumstance. I thought he acquitted himself really well in that fight. And I think, obviously, it led to some energy, kind of changed some things in the building. The one thing that I think Utah Hockey Club fans... Yeah. Boston is not going to make the playoffs, and that may very well help the Leafs. That's true. That is very true. But now they'll play Marchand when he's with Florida. So that'll be fun, too. But yeah, I think I was saying something before you said that. I found that humorous, Scott. Thank you. Yeah, so anyway, I was just thinking about how the main thing as it relates to Utah. Oh, I was going to say the Utah fans. The Utah fans, at this point, there's a lot of newer hockey fans. And so they don't necessarily know when to, like, one of the things you'll notice when you watch other teams is they are not... The Delta Center crowd is so enthusiastic and so ready. But one of the things that I think is interesting is like the thing that the fans understand really well are goals and fights. And that's true of like every fan base. Every fan base likes cheering for goals and fights. But if you watch the broadcasts of other teams in their building, or when you watch Utah Hockey Club playing on the road at one of these buildings like Detroit, or when they were in Jersey earlier in this year, I remember that game because I really felt like the crowd made a difference because of how much, hockey knowledge they all had and had the ability to kind of complain to the referees and notice different things from the referees and start putting pressure on and reacting to and standing up like that was a trip and those sort of things. And you're just not getting that they're just not getting that sort of reaction. The fans here are just not putting that kind of pressure onto the officiating crew. They're not doing things to try to help with the overall momentum of the game. I feel like they're mostly just waiting for goals and understanding fights. So I think that's why Utah has been in so many fights this year, is because honestly it's a great way, if the crowd is a little stagnant, it really, really gets the Utah fans in the mix and excited about what's going on, because it's one of the simple things that they all understand, right? All the fans see that. They see Kesselring go in there. They see him fight, and they're able to, adjust to that and know what to make of all that. So part of the maturation that'll happen with the Utah Hockey Club when they get an actual name, if it stays Hockey Club, okay. Although I got looking at the logo today, by the way, and I think it's funny that it's Hockey Utah Club. I wonder, anyway, I'm sure other people have noticed that before me, but today I was like, it's kind of interesting if you look at it. I thought some would be Utah Grizzly fans. Yeah, I think some are, but I think most of Delta Center at this point has only had a passing, passing experience with hockey, and certainly hasn't seen it at like the really high levels. Obviously, that ECHL hockey is pretty interesting, and kind of a fun league in the sense of these are guys that are just out there playing because they love it, and they're unlikely to ever be in the NHL, but still have an opportunity to play in front of people and do that. So they're obviously very good, better than I ever was, no question about that. But the real thing is that I mean, for as many season ticket holders maybe that the Grizzlies had, they have. Kesselring has been a good player, especially for... Yeah, here's the thing, Scott. Like, before the season began, it was clear to me that obviously here's who the guys that I thought were going to be like the core six for the group. I thought we were going to get Sergachev and Dursey. We were going to get Marino, because I'm trying to match, because typically speaking, now injuries make coaches do what they don't want to do, but Andre Tourné has always enjoyed or wanted to, and there's really good articles out there. There's really good reasoning behind this, Scott. But the idea here is that you want to have a left shot and a right shot on your blue line always. And there's actually demonstrated numbers showing that you're going to get better defensive output when you pair a left shot with a right shot. And so anyway, so I thought that you would see before the season, I thought you'd see Marino and Sergachev and Dursey and Valimaki, Cole, and Kesselring, with a chance that Maverick Lamoureux would play here longer, but of course he played for a little bit. They've kept him down in the AHL. He's going to stay in the AHL. But I think what's interesting about that whole scenario is that it was pretty clear that Kesselring was going to be on your right D, and probably a third pairing on the right D with Valimaki. Was kind of the thought process that maybe that was what it would look like. And, so you'd have on the left side, you'd have Sergachev and you'd have Cole, and then you'd have Valimaki. And on the right side, you'd have, by the way, Valimaki with the ACL injury. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I hope his ACL gets better. And he's got 9 months of being injured and trying to rehab that. And then on the right side, you'd have Dursey and Marino, and then Kesselring. Because of the injuries to Marino and Dursey, it meant that Kesselring got thrown up into that top pair on the blue line. And I thought, obviously it gives a lot of credence to two things. One, Kesselring held his own when he played on the blue line on the top pairing. And then the last thing that I would say is that Kesselring has been a lot better earlier in the season when he was playing with Sergachev. And so what that tells you is that Sergachev has a way of elevating whoever his partner is. And so that, to me, is great, because one of the things that we were curious about walking into the season was whether or not Sergachev could be your number one overall defensive player. Could he quarterback your power play? Could it be a penalty killer for you? Could he be a number one defensive guy, dominate, play tons of ice time, and not only that, elevate whoever his partner is into a number one type? And that answer, I think, has just obviously been clearly answered by Mikhail Sergachev. I think Sergachev has done a beautiful job as that number one defenseman. And Michael Kesselring really played well when he was paired with him. Obviously, they've moved him down since Sean Dursey came back and John Marino have come back. They've moved Kess back down to the third pairing, and that's that. Edmonton basically gave him away in the Bukestad trade, and then they got him back. Yeah, right. So Edmonton does some weird things, by the way. They're always, just like from a transaction standpoint, they're always trying to figure things out, because they have so much, high end guys, and so much of their cap is taken by the big guys, the big players that they have, that they sometimes have to do some really strange things. But we'll see that. And I know they were mad at St. Louis because of the offer sheets that were put in the offseason, but those are conversations to come this offseason for sure for us, is to kind of take a look at the mode of operation of all the other teams in the league and kind of see what the new identity of Utah is, because that's the real kind of baffling part about this team at this point as people who are fans who are trying to follow along. It's hard to see what the priorities or culture of the team will be. I mean, for one thing, the one thing we learned at the trade deadline, we sort of already knew it, but the trading away of the Shea Weber contract and getting that over to Chicago so that they could hit some. Sorry, I think we disconnected for a second there, but hopefully we're back. I think we're back. Okay, sorry for that disruption. One of the key things, though, that I want to get to on that is that we definitely learned that, unlike Arizona, this was not going to be a scenario where you could get a break and eat up your cap space and then pay a little amount of money, which is what Alex Morello wanted to do, owning Arizona. In this circumstance, they wanted to get rid of that cap obligation and then be able to put it in there. Yeah, Scott, you're right. At least Utah is still hanging around for a wild card spot. There's certainly intrigue, and it's fun to have a huge game. I'm telling you that those games that are coming up, the Anaheim game will be a really spirited game. They should take care of business against the Ducks, but that has not been a slam dunk series for Utah. I believe we've split those games 1-1, but it's in Delta Center, so we'll see how that goes. And then the following game at Seattle should be really a big contest. Seattle, they're out of it. They basically sold off all their assets at the trade deadline. They're building for the future. That is a game that Utah needs to go take care of business. That's like a huge one that Utah needs to go take care of business in. If they blow that one, that is a hugely missed opportunity. But it's the game in 3 games from now at Vancouver. The at Vancouver game is going to be a massive game. I mean, a massive game. That is going to be a fun game for Utah Hockey Club fans to watch. And, of course, the result of that game is going to be crucial in the wild card chase in terms of Vancouver's ambitions and Utah Hockey Club's ambitions. And basically, in a lot of ways, if Utah doesn't pull off the game against Vancouver, it's and if it's a regulation game and there's no loser points, it's a 4-point swing. Like, that is basically probably it, right? So they have to get the Vancouver game. I mean, have to. The only other game they have, just to be clear, is with about, 9 games left in the season. They do have a home game against Calgary. Yep, you've got that perfect, Scott. The backup now with Connor Ingram, we wish him well with his mental health. He has done great in the past working with the NHL's program to try to get his mental health in alignment. Obviously, some difficulties going on in the Ingram family, and we wish them well. And I think Connor Ingram's going to be out for the rest of the year. It's one of those, kind of the timing of it is interesting. But yes, Jackson Stauber. I had saw that he was called up. But what this is really going to mean is we got 18 games left. Like, we are going to run Vejmelka in the ground. And that's another thing to kind of be aware of, because he has been a workhorse, but he hasn't been as locked down, shut down. Although, boy, oh boy, was that his best save of the season tonight, Scott? When you saw that was that? I think that probably was his best save of the season. What a tremendous save, getting his stick out there and finding a way to have the puck hit his stick. Well, that was probably the best save of the season this year for Veggie. But I do think that with Jackson Stauber come up, even though he's had a couple of quality starts, in the middle of this hunt for the wild card, there's no way, right? No way they're going to play Jackson Stauber unless Veggie's going to fall apart. But everything that we know about Veggie is he plays the position with athleticism. He plays with a lot of, energy and a lot of athleticism. He's tough. We saw that tonight after Oliver Ekman-Larsson ran him over. But we saw Veggie go in and compete, but he uses his athleticism and his energy in a really big way. And so I think, it was awesome. Yep, awesome save. But we see him play with so much energy. I just, he's already had a massive workload this season. He's certainly been played as if he is a number one over the last couple months. And so with another 6 weeks left in the season, the question is will he, he might be back for training camp for Valimaki. Yeah, that's right. But I just to finish the idea here is that I'm really concerned about Veggie wearing down. This is his first time to get this sort of a workload. And my guess is that over these last 18 games, there's no way that so they got the Anaheim and then there's 3 games in 4 nights coming up. So they've got, from my understanding, it's at Tampa, at Florida, and then at Chicago. Tampa, Florida is a back-to-back. Chicago's the third game in 4 nights. That is a potential disaster trip. That might be the trip that dooms Utah. And they're going to need to find a way to see, Stauber's going to play one of those games. There's no way, right? You can't do Veggie for all 3 of those games. You just can't reasonably do that and expect quality goalkeeping to give you a chance to win. Jackson Stauber is young and inexperienced, but he isn't overmatched, right? He came in and had a great game against Vegas earlier in the season, and then was average in a couple other games. But could he come in and give you a quality start? Well, making the wild card. The one thing about the greatest way to tank in hockey is to have a crappy goalie. If you want to find a way out of the playoffs, if you want to tank, just play a crappy goalie. Have really bad goalkeeping. That is the way that you should do it. Honestly, you want to generate goals. You want to see that some good things are happening all across the ice with your youth as you're working them, but then have a goalie who you got to improve, but it certainly lines you up for a top 5 pick. That's the easiest way to tank, and there's no question about it. So Stauber's going to have to play, and making the wild card is going to be really reliant on him. And if you look at it over these last 18 games, I think it's reasonable to think that Stauber may play in 4 of them. So again, if you take a look, they got to steal at least one of those games with Jackson Stauber. And then, you got to play him against the bottom feeders. Yeah. Well, but the thing is they don't have, the Seattle game. Whew. Yeah, probably, right? Just because if we're looking at the next 5 games, home to Anaheim, at Seattle, at Vancouver, at Edmonton, home to Buffalo. It's do you try to get Stauber in? Is it Seattle? Because we've already seen now, Veggie's had 4 or 5 straight starts. So the aggregate of that is maybe adding up. Probably the Seattle game, right? Then we've got Buffalo, and then we've got Tampa at home, Detroit at home, at Tampa, at Florida, at Chicago. Because that's the other one. Or do you look at it and say, well, when we play a back-to-back against Florida, even if Veggie goes, we may not win that game. So you play Stauber against Florida and then, Veggie against Chicago. Maybe we go the other way with this, Scott. What do you think? Because that might be the more wise way to take a look at it, as they go down, is that, if they've got to win 12 of their last 18 here, and they're going to play Stauber in 4 of these. Maybe they put him in ones where they're least likely to win anyway, and then if he goes crazy like he did against Vegas, then you're happy with what happened. And otherwise, you try to clean sweep with Veggie in games where you're playing guys somewhere similar in the standings. And that. Okay, so you like the idea of doing Stauber against Chicago and Buffalo, and then Veggie against the top guys, and still try to steal a loser point or maybe even a victory against some of the top teams. Yeah, it's interesting. So anyway, Seattle or Anaheim. Yep, I like it. Okay. So there we go. So our guy Scott, if he's the coach, he's doing Jackson Stauber. Probably, I would say, I think you're probably doing at Seattle. Then I think you're doing at Chicago, and then the Buffalo home game. Yep. Okay, so that's 3 of the last, and then probably one more start down the stretch, and I'll speak for you. Probably Nashville at home. Nashville or Seattle at home, because there's 2 games against Seattle. So anyway, should be fun. Should be really fun to watch what happens the rest of the way here for Utah Hockey Club as they continue to try to manage their way through their inaugural season. So tonight, a good response by Utah after they, quite frankly, were pretty bad in the first period. They, I think, only had, was it 4 shots on goal through the whole first period? So that wasn't great. And then it wasn't 4, was it? How many was it? Real quick. Yeah, it was 4. So 4 shots on goal through the first period, 15 shots then in the second period, and then only 9 shots in the third period. So Utah certainly flipped a switch where they looked more dangerous down the stretch. Keller hit a post right down the stretch of the third period. That was goals that were in the second. Yep. So I just got to say, I love what we were able to see out of Utah as it related to Josh Doan. I love the way Josh Doan plays hockey. I love the way Josh Doan plays hockey. And I thought that the way that Doan set up that first goal to try to get things going when he found Michael Carcone. I thought Carcone played really well in that shift. Obviously, he had the breakaway, which was saved by Woll. And then Carcone had a second one where he went right down the slot, no one on him. But Josh Doan did a great job finding him for his 9th assist on the season. McBain, the pass to find Josh Doan from the neutral zone. That's one of those things that is easily forgettable, but that was a really nice pass by Jack McBain. He's had a couple nice passes over the last couple games. That backhander, woo! That was a nice one the other night. But so Doan, though, just the forechecking, the energy that he puts in, his anticipation, the recovery of the puck after a shot from the point that goes wide or above the net. He does such a great job on the forecheck. And that line, they've highlighted it, but it's been fun to see a home for Jack McBain and Josh Doan and also Lawson Krause. I've been hard on Lawson Krause for a lot of the season. He certainly seems to be more at home in that line. The identity of the line makes a lot more sense. There was a lot of times tonight where they put it out there in a matchup setting, so they went out there against the top line for Toronto and said go to war with Big Mitch or Austin Matthews and find a way to go compete there and create a bunch of havoc out there. And they do a good job of it. They're doing a lot more on the forecheck. I would like to see Krause be more active on the forecheck, but between Doan and McBain, those guys are just it would be a pain. It would be no fun at all to play against those guys because they are coming for you, and they play hard and they play quick and they get you against those boards. They're not scoring at a great rate, but at the same time, like at the very least, they are generating more. And if something gets generated, it's typically because Josh Doan is doing a great job a great job with it. I thought the second goal was really well done as well. Keller off the half board. He did a nice job of finding Mata as a trailer as he came into the zone. And then Mata very comfortably skated towards the net. There was so much space, and he continued to make his way up to the net. And then that quick, faking the shot, moved his shoulders like he was shooting, and then passed it over to Schmaltz on the back door. That was an easy goal because Oli Mata did a fantastic job. And then, I think it's cool that they've put Barrett Hayton out there on the power play with the top unit again. He's playing where Logan Cooley used to be. There's a couple little signs that they're not loving some of the things from Logan Cooley recently. I still think obviously they think incredibly highly of Logan Cooley, but it is interesting to see that right now he's not as preferred as it relates to what they're trying to accomplish on the power play. He doesn't play in the top line anymore on that power play. So interesting. They're liking more what they're getting from Barrett Hayton in that spot, and he's producing. He's doing well. So the deflection into the back of the net off of the Sergachev send in on the power play, that was good. But ultimately tonight, power play and the penalty kill dooms Utah. You can't give up that many penalties against a great team like Toronto. You can't win when you give up a fight, when you get a 5-on-3 and you don't capitalize. That was a back-breaking moment. And then obviously, sometimes these things come down to a little bit of puck luck, and the call on the ice tonight of a good goal on that third goal looked like it may have been deflected above the crossbar. Even still, it was given to them, and it went that way. So Utah Hockey Club falls again tonight in overtime. So, big stretch of games still to come. We will continue to watch the scoreboard as we chase the Calgary Flames, the Vancouver Canucks, and the St. Louis Blues. That is it for tonight's episode of After the Buzzer. Utah Hockey Club loses to the Toronto Maple Leafs. We will see you very soon. Take care of yourself.